Free your spirit. The Third Testament. Revelations of Jesus Christ. Chapter 62. Words for every listener and reader. In those days in Mexico, and also today generally. Thus saith the Lord. O my disciples, return to your former selves. Listen to me and feel me as you did before. Remember when you confessed that this revelation was your life and the light of your destiny? Do not forget that today I say to you that what you need will be granted when the right moment comes. Fill your lamp again with oil, so that the flame of faith and wisdom will glow once more. Do not slumber, be watchful and pray, for the Master might surprise you entering your abode as before, as in those days of spiritual enthusiasm, when at each step you felt my presence. You will behold how your life again will be illuminated by the light which was obscured without your knowledge, and it will again restore your confidence in a future filled with abundance and wisdom. Many of you call yourselves spiritualists because you have faith in my presence in the communications I have made by means of human understanding, and because you frequently attend to hear my word. But I want you to be spiritualists through the practice of good, through knowledge of the essence of life, through your love for your fellow men, and through your worship of God in an elevated, productive, and virtuous existence. To some I have given a humble origin in this world, so that they may imitate their master in this life. And to others it has been given to be born in wealthy homes, so that they too may imitate Jesus, who, being king, left his throne to come to serve the poor, the sick, and the sinners. The merit of he who knows how to descend from his position to serve his fellow men is as great as that of he who rises on the road of love from his humble and ignored life to the altitude of the just. You ask me why I have come to you? Because I see that you have forgotten the road where you should return to the bosom from whence you emerged, and I have come to show it to you again. The path is my law, and by means of its fulfillment, the spirit will attain immortality. I am showing you the door, so narrow like the path that I pointed out to you with my teaching during that time. You who hear me shall prepare the way for those who will receive me in spirit. It was not by chance that brought before my presence those who received my teaching, just as it will neither be a coincidence that there will be a development of the spiritual gifts in those who will feel my presence without the need of a human speaker. I have you destined to extend good over the earth, and that is true spirituality. Do you feel small and incapable? Do you judge yourselves too impure to bear in your spirits a mission of this nature? That is because you do not know my wisdom and my mercy, and do not observe with purity the examples I give you at each step through nature. Do you not see how the rays of the sun, illuminating all, come even to the foulest puddle, evaporating it, raising it up to the heavens, purifying it, and converting it finally to a cloud that passes over the fields to bring life? Here in my presence, eliminate all impurity from your spirit, so that it may attain freedom. Do not fear, for you are not going to reveal any secret to me. I know you better than you know yourselves. Confess intimately unto me. I will know how to understand you better than anyone, and will be able to pardon your causes and debts, for I am the only one who can judge you. When you have reconciled with your Father, and you hear your spirit singing a hymn of triumph, then sit in peace at my table, and eat and drink from the dishes offered to you by my Spirit, which is found in the essence of my word. Many of you come crying after cursing the pain. I forgive you for your errors, since they arise from your ignorance. Calm your hearts, my little students of life, and clarify your understanding so that you may understand what I am going to tell you. When you again feel pain penetrating your heart, isolate yourself for a few moments from what surrounds you, and alone, there in the intimacy of your bedroom, converse with your own spirit. Take your pain and example it just as you would take an object in your hand to study. Examine your pain this way. See where it comes from and why. Listen to the voice of your conscience, and truly, I tell you, from that meditation you will extract a treasure of light and peace for your heart. The light will give you a way to put aside the pain, and the peace will give you the strength to wait until the trial passes. Continue struggling to be strong in spirit and in the material form, for if until now there have been illnesses among you, it is because, due to a lack of spirituality and faith, you have not known how to rise above this life's misery and pain. My doctrine does not only teach you to have faith in the power of God, but also to have faith in yourselves. Today you say, God is in us, but you say it without feeling or understanding it, because your materialism impedes you from feeling my presence in your being. But when spiritualism is part of your lives, you will then know the truth of my presence in each man. My voice will resonate in the consciences, the inner judge will be heard, and the warmth of the Father will be felt. This lesson reaches to your heart, where intentions of atonement and noble sentiments have been born. If you have suffered and wept very much in order to reach the point of opening the doors of your heart to me, truly I say to you that also he who has suffered greatly has atoned for his faults and has to be forgiven. You weep, O my people, because you feel within your repentant heart the love of the Master. You were told that he who would present himself before the Father, bearing in his spirit a grave fault, would not be forgiven, and he would have to suffer an eternal damnation. But how can you conceive of my divine justice as being so monstrous? Were you not aware that through Jesus I showed that my most tender words and my most gentle gazes were for those who had sinned the most? How could I teach a lesson in the world and do the opposite in eternity? Be comforted during your bitter and difficult moments, keeping in mind that my wise and perfect law will judge everything. I have been in your affliction so that through it you will seek me. I have touched you through poverty so that you may learn to ask, to be humble, and to understand others. I have withheld your daily bread to prove that he who has faith is like the birds that do not worry about a tomorrow. They behold the dawn appear as a symbol of my presence, and when they awaken, their first act is to elevate their melodies as an indication of thanks and as proof of their faith. Sometimes you say to me, Lord, I have had everything. If I lacked nothing, I would be active in your spiritual work, and I would be charitable. But keep in mind that as men you are changeable, and that all your intentions of today, when you possess nothing, would change if I granted all that you wish. Only the love of God is unchangeable toward his children. If I gave you in abundance, I know beforehand that you would lose yourselves, for I am aware of your resolutions and weaknesses. When I have told you to separate yourselves from pleasures, you have interpreted my words wrong, coming to think that it pleases me more to see you suffer than joyful. You are mistaken. If I am your father, how could you imagine that I would rather see you cry than laugh? in telling you to separate yourselves from the pleasures, I refer only to those that are unhealthy for the spirit or damaging to the material form. On the other hand, I advise you to seek the healthy satisfactions for the heart and spirit that are within your reach. I did not even insist that you believe in me when you arrived. It was I who went ahead giving you proof by healing the maladies of your body, giving peace to your spirit, or something that you believed as unattainable. Afterward, when you have believed in me and have surrendered yourselves with faith toward the fulfillment of my law, I have pointed out to each one his mission so that he will not deviate from the pathway, and that he will only take what corresponds to him and extend to his brethren charity and love, just as I have come to do with you. By chance, do you believe that all those who indoctrinate are teachers? Do you believe that all those who regard themselves as ministers of God are envoys of mine, or that I have given them the mission that they are carrying out? Do you believe that all those who reign, govern, and command in the world possess the necessary gifts to fulfill that mission? No, my people, how few are those who fulfill the obligation that has truly been entrusted to them. While some usurp a position that does not befit them, those who should fulfill it are humiliated and passed over. Do not think that I am offended if some do not believe in my presence in this manifestation, for it does not affect my truth at all. How many men have doubted the existence of a divine being who created all the marvels of the universe, and yet the sun has not ceased to give them light? Today you open the doors of your heart and your understanding before the light of my teaching. With what works do you come to glorify me? All of you stay silent in both the material and spiritual forms before me. You bow your heads and humble yourselves. But I don't want my children to humble themselves before me. I want them to be worthy of lifting their faces and beholding mine. For I do not come in search of servants or slaves. I do not come in search of creatures who feel outlawed and exiled. I come to my children, whom I so love, so that when they hear my voice, the voice of their Father, they elevate their spirits on the path of spiritual evolution. Beloved disciples, be zealous of my work, comply with my mandates, and with those you shall be giving testimony of me. Mary, your loving mother, also descends to you and fills you with grace. She teaches you a perfect love and changes your heart into a fountain of charity, so that you may perform great deeds of love among your brethren and know the truth. She is my collaborator, and next to my word of a master and judge is her word of mother and intermediary. Love her, my people, and invoke her name. Verily I say to you that Mary is watchful over you and accompanies you, not only in the days of trials, but eternally. I have named you the Marian people, for you are able to love and recognize the Divine Mother and approach her like a child who needs tenderness, or as a sinner who seeks intercession. The presence of Mary in the world is an indication of my love for men. Her purity is a heavenly miracle revealed to you. From me she descended to earth to become a woman, and in her womb would germinate the divine seed, the body of Jesus, through whom the living word would speak. She comes anew to manifest herself during this period. It is necessary that the human heart knows in its depths the precious message His Spirit has brought to the world, and that then, knowing the truth, you erase from your heart all of the idolatrous worship and fanaticism that you have consecrated to it, and offer your spiritual love. Some say to me, Lord, why don't you let us see you, like our brothers who testify that they see you? Oh, weak hearts that need to see to believe. What merit would you find in beholding the humanized Jesus as a vision in the form of a man, when your spirit, through love, faith, and sensitivity, can sense me, infinite and perfect in my divine essence? You do ill if you envy those who possess the gift of seeing the spiritual in the form of figures or symbols. For what they see is not precisely the divine, but rather an allegory or image that speaks to them of the spiritual. Be comfortable in your gifts and analyze the testimonies you receive, looking always for the meaning, the light, the teaching, and the truth. Never adulterate my teachings. Manifest my work as a book which embraces only purity, and when you have concluded your journey, I will welcome you. I will disregard your spiritual blemishes, and I will grant you my divine charis, which will be your greatest reward when you reach the promised land. For I have given you in this era a handful of seeds that you may learn to sow in fertile fields, and there allow it to multiply. Judge your responsibility, beloved people. Consider that a day you lose is a day you delay the arrival of this good news to the hearts of your brothers, and that a lesson you miss is one less bit of bread you can offer to the needy. You know already the taste of the tree's fruit, and I warn you, so that tomorrow you do not let yourselves be surprised by false prophets. Keep watch over your brothers as well, teaching them to distinguish the essence of my doctrine. It is written that after my parting, false prophets would appear, telling my people that they are sent by me, and that they come in my name to continue the work that I carried out among you. Woe to you if you bow to those false prophets and teachers, or if you mix my doctrine with words that are not of the essence, for it will cause great confusion. That is why I so often tell you to pray and keep watch. If you do not prepare yourselves, rumors will reach your ears that will confuse you, and with them you will confuse your brethren afterward. I am putting you on the alert, so that once these communications are ended, you will not try to practice them again, because it will not be spirits of light that will manifest themselves, but confused beings who will aim to destroy what you earlier already had established. On the other hand, he who knows how to prepare himself, who instead of trying to appear noteworthy, can make himself helpful, instead of anticipating events, can wait with patience. He will clearly hear my teaching, which will reach his spirit by means of the gifts that exist in him, which are inspiration, intuition, presentiment through prayer, spiritual vision, and prophetic dreams. Today, you behold these spokesmen speaking in ecstasy, and although the reluctance of some of you is great, you believe that my manifestation through these channels is possible. Yet when humanity beholds my disciples speaking in their normal state of the divine revelations, they will doubt them. In our own congregation, there will arise those that upon hearing you speak, inspired by me, will doubt. And you will need to have great preparation and spiritual cleanliness in order to be believed. If, on your path, you come to see men who, by their works or their way of thinking, show spiritual backwardness before my revelation, do not be confused. You should know that there has never been a time when all beings have marched in step. Trust that I am now leaving for them the words that will awaken them when the time has come. These words, which you cannot yet understand, will be exactly the same that those men will understand. Grow and practice without fanaticism. Elevate and place yourselves on a level from which you can teach all your brethren without distinction of creeds or doctrines. Do not hold back your charity to the one who is in need, because he follows an underdeveloped or imperfect worship. On the contrary, your unselfish deed will win over his heart. Do not confine yourselves in groups, nor limit your activities. have enlightenment for every spirit and balsam for every pain. If your brothers murmur against you for having answered my call, close your ears and be silent, for they are innocent. But if you have taken up this cause in order to judge them, woe unto you! For you have already been illuminated by the light from your conscience and understand what you do. So, my people, do not try to make all men think or believe as you do. Never anathematize humanity. Do not sentence them or condemn them for what they do not say, or because they do not accept your proposition, your teaching, or your counsel. Look upon all of your brothers with the most profound respect and spiritual charity, and in this way you will understand that each one in his own worship, his own doctrine, and on his own path has reached a place to which his spiritual capacity gives him the right. And where you see humanity today is the place to which its own evolution has brought it. Now I want you to know that you are not more than anyone, that the belief you have fostered that you are a people of privileged beings is an error, because the Creator in his perfect love toward all his creatures distinguishes no one. I say this because tomorrow you have to teach your brethren the doctrine I brought to you during this time, and I do not want you to appear before the last ones as superior beings, nor that your merits made you the only ones worthy of listening to my word. You will be comprehensive, humble, simple, noble, and charitable brethren. You will be strong, but not arrogant, so that you will not humiliate the weak. If you possess great knowledge about my doctrine, never make a display of your knowledge, so that your brethren will not feel belittled near you. Even here, among my laborers, how many there are who, not understanding my doctrine, and upon finding themselves endowed with gifts, have believed themselves superior and worthy of admiration and homage. That brings me to ask you if you can believe that an elevated spirit could be vain of its gifts, since humility and charity are two of the principal attributes it should bear. Remember that I once told you that I did not create you to become like parasitical plants. I do not wish you to be satisfied with merely not doing harm, but want you to reach satisfaction through good works. Those who do not do good when they are able have done more harm than those who do not understand how to do good, and who therefore content themselves with doing evil because it is all they know. Oh, my very beloved children, who weep like lost sheep, calling your shepherd with anguished cries. When you close your eyes to the reality of your surroundings, you end up thinking that I am the cause of your misfortunes on earth. Others believe that your vicissitudes are of no concern to me. How ungrateful you are thinking that way of your Father, and how unjust to appraise my perfect justice. Do you believe that I do not listen to you when you say that you are only nourished by bitterness, that the world which you inhabit is a world without happiness, and that the existence which you lead has no reason to be? You only feel my presence when you believe that I punish you, that I deny you all mercy, and you forget the tenderness and kindness of your Father. You complain about your life instead of blessing its benefits. The fact is, you close your eyes to the truth and only see bitterness and tears around you, feeling desperation because you believe that everything will be without a reward. How different your life would be if instead of that non-conformity, of that incomprehension, your first thought each day would be to bless your Father, and your first words to be thankful for so many benefits that His love offers. But you do not feel those virtues anymore, because the flesh has perturbed your spirit, and you have forgotten my teaching. That is why I come to speak to you about those feelings which you have removed from your heart. You have sinned, adulterated, offended, and now that you find yourselves before the truth of my word, which points out your errors, you forget your faults and believe that your Lord is unjust when he speaks to you of ordeals and restitution. You have been greatly tested, beloved disciples, for each trial contains a mystery for you. You do not know whether it is designed to strengthen you in battle, to reveal new knowledge to you, or to restitute a sin. You should never attempt to avoid an ordeal, because they were not sent with that aim, and are never greater than your moral or spiritual strength. Why do many of you fear that I have written your destiny in trials, pains, punishments, and misfortune? How could you believe that he who loves you with perfection would provide you with a road full of thorns? Truly, I tell you, the hazardous road sown with difficulties is the one you have chosen through your own will, believing that it is filled with pleasures, freedom, and happiness, not understanding that it is precisely in the road destined for you, that which you have abandoned, where you can find true peace, safety, strength, health, well-being, and abundance. This road that I come to offer you in my doctrine is that which has been destined for your spirit since it was formed, so that traveling on it, you may find that which you yearn for. You judge superficially, as if you were children, not knowing that the trials which batter you are of your own making. And therefore, when those trials fall upon you, you wish them gone, that the plan be changed so that you do not suffer, so that you do not have to drain the cup of bitterness. That is because you are unable to penetrate reality with your spiritual sight in order to understand that all that you harvest is what you have sown, and that all the pain that comes to you thus so because you have attracted it. No, you have not learned to penetrate the truth. And that is why, when pain fills your hearts, you believe yourselves the victims of divine injustice. But I tell you, in God, there cannot be the least injustice. The love of God is inalterable, immutable, and eternal, and for that reason, those who believe that the divine spirit can be possessed by anger, wrath, or rage are committing a grave error. Such weaknesses are only conceivable in those human beings who lack spiritual elevation and control of their passions. Sometimes you ask me, Lord, why must we pay the consequences for actions that are not our own and gather the bitter fruit that others cultivated? To which I must answer that you know nothing of this, for you do not know who you were before, nor the nature of your earlier works. Beloved people, your hearts fill with satisfaction on thinking that you are my disciples in this third era. Yet I must tell you to never let vanity blind you, for if you fall into that weakness, you will ignore even your conscience when it calls you to account for your faults. He who does not begin by cleansing and elevating his human life may never aspire to elevate himself spiritually, for his steps shall be false, and his works will not have the seed of truth. For this reason, you sometimes see that I change from spiritual teaching to advices, so that you may conduct yourselves with rectitude in your human lives. I am speaking to the hearts of men, urging them to regeneration and making them understand the damage that vices cause the body, as well as the ill they bring the spirit. I have told you that the man who lets himself be dominated by a vice has forgotten that his spirit must never be defeated, and has forgotten that true fortitude consists of destroying evil through virtue. That man, defeated by the flesh, has denigrated himself, has lost respect for himself, and has lowered himself from the elevated condition of being a man to that of a poor being too coward to struggle. That man, instead of bearing light, bread, and wine to his home, brings shadows, pain, and death, making heavier his cross and those borne by his wife and children. and slowing the spiritual journeys of all who surround him. Understand that each one of you who leaves the path of wrong causes the force of evil to diminish, and that your life, if it is righteous in its works, its words, and its thoughts, leaves in its wake the sowing of good seeds, and that your counsel, when it springs from a prepared heart, will have the strength to bring about prodigies, and that prayer, when it is born of thoughts of piety and love, shall be a message of light for he for whom you ask it. Here, before me, you cleanse yourselves of every blemish. Oh, if you could only preserve that limpidity all along your life. But this surrounding of spirituality and of fraternity that you have in this hour of communion and of teaching does not reign in the world. The air that you breathe is poisoned by sin. But you have felt how, in the measure that you are assimilating my doctrine, the chain that binds you to the world is falling link by link. Life always on the alert, for along your path there will be some who will say that they are with me, but do not believe them at the first moment. Believe them for what they manifest in humility, in wisdom, in love. Others will tell you that they communicate with me, but they are the first to be deceived. For that reason, you must always be vigilant in the mission that you have and the position that you occupy. You need to see, hear, and also forgive a great deal too. Be active, do not slumber. Or do you want to wait for the persecution to surprise you sleeping? Do you want to fall into idolatry again? Do you expect for strange doctrines to come and impose itself by force or fear? Be on alert, because from the east false prophets will emerge, confusing the people. Be united, so that your voice may resound all over the world and alert humanity in time. Great trials await humanity. Be vigilant and pray through each catastrophe and every pain. Much pain will be diminished, and some of it will never arrive at all, for it will be detained by those who pray. When other religions and sects observe that the multitudes are hurrying to follow this people, there will be some from those religions who will arise and persecute you. Do not be afraid, for if you know how to remain tranquil, the Holy Spirit will place words upon your lips that will silence those who insult you. I do not leave you the murderous sword with which to defend yourselves. I leave you the sword of love. Each one of its rays of light will be a virtue which emerges from it. You will greatly please the Father if you are able to convert those multitudes who are persecuting my work with your words and deeds of love. This is the lesson that I give you in the second era, which you had already forgotten. The human mind did suffer confusion trying to understand the Marian Trinitarian spiritualist teaching, because the human being who is materialistic is awkward, unable to comprehend the spiritual. How many have left my table without having tasted the dishes that I have lovingly prepared for them? When will they experience again a time of great blessings, as in the present time, in which they came to earth to hear my word? They are like hardened rocks who need tempests and time in order to soften. Their spiritual inheritance will be kept from them as long as they are unable to take care of it. However, it will be returned to them, for I have said to you that whatever the Father gives to his children, he never takes back. He simply preserves it. Some of you will be converted and prepared by my doctrine to seek after those who have been lost in the deserts. For that is the way I see human life, like a desert. There are those who feel alone amidst millions of spirits, and those who die of thirst without anyone to offer them a little water. That is where I will send my new apostles. I want my name once again to be pronounced with love by some and heard with emotion by others. I want it to be known by those who ignore it. There are young and old men, women and children who know nothing of my existence. I want everyone to know me and to be aware that they have in me a most loving Father. I want everyone to listen to me and to love me. My word has come up against your egotism. That is why I have said that what I am delivering to you is so that in turn you will make it known to your brethren. But you only want to enjoy my manifestations without entering into any obligations with the others. However, the Master has not called you to teach you useless lessons. He has come to tell you to learn this divine lesson, so that later you will take advantage of it during your lifetime, putting it into practice among your fellow men. I reveal to you at this moment that your spirit has an overdue debt with anyone who approaches you with some suffering, with a necessity or some petition. Behold, with how much love I place them along your path in order for you to comply with your restitution, making them the object of your charity. Comply, so you will not have to return to earth in times of suffering to gather the fruit of your faults or that of your egotism. Fulfill your mission, and then you will return, but it will be in times of peace to rejoice in caring for the sowing which you left unfinished. Today, you will not have Moses leading the way to liberate you as he did during the first era. It will be your conscience which will guide you. Here, there are many who in other times were doctors of law or scientists, but who now bring their awakened minds to spiritual knowledge, convinced that in limited human knowledge they will not find the supreme truth. Here there are those who, in other times, were the rich and powerful of the earth, who have now come to know poverty and humility. I bless them for their conformity and for their yearning for perfection. In them you have the proof of my loving justice, making them come again to earth to show them one more page in the book of eternal wisdom. The world offers you many pleasures, some that I have conceded you and others created by men. Now you see that you have not been able to reach them, which causes discontent in some and sadness in others. I should tell you that to many it is not given to rest or lose themselves in the delights and satisfactions of the material, for their mission is a very different one. Truly, I tell you, in all humanity there does not exist a spirit that has not known all the delights and satisfactions and tasted all the fruits. Today, your spirit has come to enjoy the freedom to love me and not be again a slave of the world, of gold, of lust, or of idolatry. See how men, peoples, and nations give their lives for an ideal, consuming themselves in the bonfire of their fighting, dreaming dreams of earthly glory, of possessions, and of power. They die for the fleeting glories of the earth. And you, who begin to ignite in your spirits a divine ideal, which has as its goal the conquest of a glory that will be eternal, will you not devote not even your lives, but merely a part of them to fulfill your duty as brothers? Above you, an unseen battle is taking place that only those who are prepared can see. All the evil which is born of men in their thoughts, their words, and their deeds, all the sin of the centuries, all the bewildered men and spirits, all the confusions, the injustices, the religious fanaticism and idolatry of men, as well as their foolish ambitions and falseness, have gathered in one force that penetrates, invades, and sweeps all before it turns against me. That is the power that opposes Christ, and great are its hosts, and mighty its arms, but before men, not before me. To those I will give battle with the sword of my justice, and I shall be at the head of my armies, of which I wish you to form a part. While this battle moves those men who go in search of pleasure, you, in whom I have confided the ability to feel that which vibrates in the beyond, must pray and keep watch over your brothers, for in this way will you be watching over yourselves. Christ, the principal warrior, has raised already his sword. It is necessary that like a saith it uproot evil, and by its flashing bring light to the universe. Woe to the world and to you if your lips remain sealed. You are the spiritual seed of Jacob, And to him I promised that in you the nations of earth would be saved and blessed. I wish to unite you as in one single family, so that you may be strong. I know that in the bosom of this people great works have been done. Yet let it be I who know it, though the world does not know your names. Only I know the true merit or value of your works, for not even you yourselves may judge them. At times, a petty achievement seems very grand to you, and other times you are not even aware that the merit of an act has reached me. When will you leave your retreat and your obscurity, you multitudes who have heard me? Can you be delaying your preparation on purpose from fear of the struggle? Truly I tell you, only he who has not prepared fears, for he who knows my word and who loves his Lord and his fellow man has nothing to fear, and will, instead of fleeing humanity, go in search of them to make them share in what he has received. For after studying and analyzing my lessons, he puts them into practice. This message bears light for every religion, for every sect and creed, and for all the different forms of behavior of men. And yet, what, O disciples, have you done with my word? Is this the way you permit the tree to flower? Let it bloom, for this shall serve as the proclamation of the fruit that comes later. Why do you hide these messages and not give to the world the surprise of this new era with its good news? Why do you not dare to tell the world that the voice of Christ sounds among you? Speak and bear witness to my teaching by your works of love. For if there are some who close their ears so as not to hear you, others will open theirs, and in them your voice will be as sweet and harmonious as the song of the nightingale. Humanity is awaiting my new disciples, and yet, if you, who are my laborers, from fear of the judgment of the world, abandon the sowing and your tools, what will become of humanity? Do you not feel the responsibility of your charge? Your consciences will never deceive you, and will always tell you when you have fulfilled your duties. The unquiet you feel is a sign that you have not observed my precepts. You complain at times that the number of followers of my word increases slowly. Yet, I tell you that you should complain of yourselves, for it is you who bear the mission of bringing the multitudes that form this people to grow and multiply. But if you lack faith in your hearts, if your gifts are undeveloped, and if your understanding lacks the light of spiritual knowledge, how will you move others by the virtues of faith and love that are not developed in your own hearts? He who does not understand cannot make others understand. Who does not feel cannot make others feel. Know then why your lips have trembled and started when you have needed to give testimony of my word. He who loves will not hesitate. He who believes does not fear. And he who feels has many ways of proving his sincerity and truth. Today, I come to you with a teaching that might seem impossible for the world to practice. Once it is understood, it is the easiest to fulfill. I come to teach the worship of the love of God through your life, your deeds, and the spiritual prayer, which is not pronounced by the lips at a predetermined place, nor is it in need of forms or images to be so inspired. I say to you, what are you waiting for to spread the good news? By chance do you pretend to go and preach among the rubble? I am telling you and revealing all, so that you may always have a wise answer for every question made to you by your brethren. Behold, that you will be attacked with great arguments, that will fill with fear those who are not prepared. Engrave my word, and do not forget the great miracles which I have granted you, so that each one of you can be a living testimony of my truth. Then whoever scrutinizes you and prods into my word will find that it does not contradict in anything of what I said and foretold during past eras. The struggle will be great, to the extent that some, having been my disciples, will become fearful and deny me, saying that they never heard me. To those who know how to be faithful to my commandments and are able to cope with the struggle, I shall cover with a mantle with which they will defend themselves, and they will come out unharmed from any situation. To the one who wrongly sows this seed and profanes the purity of this work, there shall be a judgment, the persecution of men, and uneasiness at every moment. It is necessary for each one to know the tree he has cultivated by the taste of its fruit. I have reserved great miracles for the period of the spiritual struggle of my people. Miracles and deeds that will amaze the wise men and the scientists. I will never forsake you to your own strength. Do not become blinded when humanity ridicules you. Do not forget that in the second era, the multitudes mocked your master. In truth, I tell you that the world is against you, and therefore I prepare you to know how to defend the cause of your faith with the arms of love and charity. I tell you that you will triumph even when your victory is unknown. This time your sacrifice will not be in blood, although you shall know calamity and disrespect. Still, the Master shall be there to defend and comfort you. No disciple will be alone. People, do not learn more about perversity, but combat it without boasting of your purity, nor should you be scandalized by the faults of your brothers. Be discreet, sensible, and opportune in your speech and actions, and the world will hear and pay attention to your teaching. Is it necessary to tell you again that before you disseminate this doctrine, you must live it? It is necessary that my people arise among nations, giving an example of brotherhood, harmony, charity, and understanding. Like a soldier of peace in the midst of those who again take the divine teachings to duel, harm each other, and take one another's life. Come to understand that you all love the same God, and do not duel over the differences in the manner in which one or the other has been doing so. It is necessary that you understand that there are beings in whom their beliefs, customs, and traditions have grown roots so deep that they will not initially be easy to pull up when first you instruct them. Have patience, and over the years you will succeed. When the year 1950 ends, there will be uncertainty and doubt in many of you. Why do some who are of greater intelligence than those who believe in my message doubt my manifestations? Because it is not human knowledge or the mind that is capable of judging my truth. And when men understand this, they are invaded by fear of all that is new, and all that they judge as unknown makes them reject it unconsciously. And you, the weak, the unprepared, those who cannot reach the heights of the men known for their intelligence, it is you who believe, who have faith, and who know how to penetrate the depths of the spiritual mysteries. Why? Because it is the Spirit that reveals to the mind the eternal life and its wonders. Human intelligence represents a force with which you must take up battle, for through it man has forged concepts and ideas of the spiritual that have not been revealed to him by the Spirit. You will be strong for that battle, with a fortitude that also proceeds from the Spirit. Your strength will never be based in your material form, nor in the power of your money, nor in earthly support. Your faith in the truth alone will lead you to victory in the contest. Do not fear if they call you confused, but offer your hand to all. Understand that this work, which to you is true, to others could seem false, for according to them it lacks the consecration that the religions have gained by being recognized. If you have faith in me, if you believe I manifest myself in the words of these spokesmen, do not fear the judgment of your brothers, for my doctrine is so eloquent and so many truths are present in my message that if you know how to use these weapons, you will not be easily defeated. None can reproach you for eagerly seeking the truth and to perfection. All have a sacred right to them, and that is why you have been endowed with the freedom to seek the light. When you begin to fulfill your mission and go to the nations, to even the most distant peoples in the very jungle, you will find human beings and you will make them understand that all are brothers. You will bear witness to them of my spiritual doctrine, and you will marvel at the proofs of love that I will give you. There, among the beings isolated from civilization, but also isolated from human perversity, you will find great spirits that will come to swell the ranks of the people of Israel. Where you go, the sick shall receive the balsam and be healed, while the saddened shall cry for the last time, but with tears of joy. And before these proofs that you give, the multitude shall bless the Lord and his disciples. You will be acclaimed as on that day when the Master entered Jerusalem. But among those who acclaim you will arise men and women full of the gifts you possess. In some, the gift for prophecy will astonish. From others my balsam will flow unceasingly, while from yet others my word will spring like crystal clear water. And in this way will you see that the gifts of the Holy Spirit arise among your brothers like an inexhaustible seed. People, as seeming peace has been made among nations, but do not preach that peace has come. Seal your lips, for true peace will not be built on foundations of fear nor material convenience, but must be born of love and brotherhood. Men are building on sand, not rock, and when the waves come again, they will batter those walls, and their structure will fall to the earth. Since the first era, I have spoken to you through my prophets, to guide you rather than force you to comply with my law. But that time has passed. The human spirit has evolved and has reached maturity so that it can comprehend its mission as a spirit. Humanity, which finds itself so close to the abyss, to perdition, needs your spiritual help. That battle, the final battle, the most terrible and tremendous, between darkness and light, all the spirits of darkness are gathering, and the spirits of light must confront that power. Awaken, O you who have heard me, and who bear the light of the Holy Spirit. Awaken, and do not lose time in material pleasures and temporary ambitions. Fight for humanity. Fight so that the kingdom of the Father might come to this world. That is the mission that I give, to the most humble and to the most prepared. The spiritual world is with you, and above all is the Father, full of love and mercy. The Father, with infinite pain, sees the suffering that men themselves are causing one another. That is the struggle of the light against darkness, and each of you must struggle until victory is reached.